Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for dearly departed Premier League Round 9 preview show. And before we go any further, we say thank you to our fan sponsor for the Dearly Departed series, J. Coyle, Dearly Departed, also known as Ben. Couldn't bear to lose us marching on together. Thank you, Jay, as ever, for your support. Before we get into the games, quick explanation: as we get more subscribers and more viewers, we do sadly get more people that don't quite understand what we're doing here. I come as a championship vlogger. Sad to lose fans of teams every single season getting promoted, building up the subscriber base, and then they all disappear. So we're going to keep them this season, and we've started Dearly Departed, which covers Aston Villa, Sheffield United, Leeds, Fulham and West Brom. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, that's just who I cover. I tried to explain to a dear Leicester fan who wasn't quite going in, I'm afraid, that it would be the equivalent of going to a steakhouse and complaining that they didn't serve enough fish, and the owner saying, I'm a steakhouse, I just want to serve steak, and the guy's still not getting it. But there you go. Anyway, this is the Dearly Departed show, and here are the fixtures. So we'll go through all the Premier League fixtures this weekend, but we'll focus in on our 5 Dearly Departed sides. Newcastle-Chelsea is the early kickoff on Saturday, and then game number 1 for us is Aston Villa versus Brighton. 5:30 is Spurs-Man City, and then game number 2 for us is Manchester United versus West Brom. On to the Sunday, Fulham versus Everton is our game number 3 at midday, and then our game numbers 4 and 5 follow very quickly in a dearly departed triple whammy there, one after the other. Sheffield United versus West Ham at 2 on Sunday, and then Leeds versus Arsenal, which we will be doing a watch along for at 4:30. Liverpool versus Leicester, Burnley versus Palace, and Wolves versus Southampton. Take us through the rest of your Sunday night and Monday as well, watching the Premier League. So that means we'll be able to get the full Dearly Departed review up on Monday morning this week. Sometimes we do have to wait until Tuesday, but no one playing on the Monday night. And just before anybody complains, the reason I'm just doing the Leeds game, there's 3 in a row, is I'll be doing my championship review at 10 a.m. live. And frankly, I'll need a break in between. So I'm up very early on a Sunday, getting all the stuff together for the championship review. They're normally broadcasting for about an hour and a half. So apologies to fans of the other 2 teams. My bias is left at the door, but I will only be watching along Leeds and Arsenal at 4:30. Right, let's get into it. Here is your current league table, and we still have Aston Villa flying the flag up in 6th spot there. They had 2 defeats on the trot, but went into the international break, on the back of a victory, and still do have that game in hand, which frankly could send them top of the league when you look at the numbers, and then you realise it's against Manchester City. So there you go. We need to then avert our eyes downwards to 15th, where Leeds have dropped a few places with 3 defeats in 4 after the excellent sort of first 4, especially if we include the 6th game indeed as well. But certainly 2 defeats back to back is maybe concerning to some Leeds fans. We'll get into that. Fulham are not in the relegation zone, which will be very pleasing to them and Scott Parker. They've only scored points in 2 games, but at the moment, with the tide lower beneath them, that is enough. Then West Brom follow in 18th, still looking for a win. And at the bottom, sadly, Sheffield United, terrible start for them. 8 played, just 1 draw across those 8 games, and that was against another dearly departed side in Fulham. So that is the size of the table. Would be nice not to be seeing 3 out of 4 of our teams in the bottom 4 down there. So hopefully we get a bit more of a push. It's only Burnley and Brighton keeping us at bay from having a completely dearly departed bottom end of the table. And difficult fixtures this game week. Let's go first and look at Aston Villa versus Brighton, which, if you're a Villa fan, given how the season's gone and how maybe the expectations have just pivoted a little bit based on the start, based on the new signings and Grealish starring for England now, you might start seeing these games as, okay, we should be winning this one. Remember, the Premier League is a cruel mistress, so maybe the more reluctant Villa fans will be thinking, no, don't be saying that, Ben. But, I mean, look at the table there. Villa up in 6th. As we say, a game in hand off top, with some caveats to that. Brighton in 16th in the mire, down the bottom there in the bottom 5 with a lot of our other dearly departed. Looking at the form, we mentioned Villa had the crazy start, 4 straight wins, then big defeat against Leeds, and the defeat against Southampton. When we did the analysis, we did suggest there won't be many times where you come up against finishing like they did. James Ward-Prowse rifling in a couple of free kicks and Danny Ings one into the top corner. I know we can make apologies and excuses, but that it did feel that they, whatever they did that day, and they did score 3 goals in the comeback in the end, that was something a bit special, particularly from Ward-Prowse, wasn't it? But a really good win for Villa in the last game down at Arsenal, and Barkley doing the business as well as Grealish and Watkins. So I've talked a lot about the pressure being relieved on Jack Grealish, and he really is now going up a level, isn't he? I mean, from the Championship onwards, I mean, we knew he was clearly often the best player who stepped on the pitch in most Championship games, just in terms of raw talent. But he's now been able to harness it, and I do think it's important that Watkins is scoring and Barkley is taking up some of the creative licence with that double pivot of Douglas Luiz and John McGinn a bit further back, helping out a bit more. So we don't expect much to change. I'm not sure. Villa fans, let me know in the comments about any injury concerns. Again, we've Umdenar, Trezeguet, El Ghazi, Traore off the front right, but just don't see much else changing there. Looking at Brighton, bad run over those last 6 games. No wins. No wins since they won up at Newcastle. They have played Manchester United. Look at the table, they're not any great shakes, but they're Manchester United. Everton, Spurs into that run. But the thing with Brighton is they've played there Burnley and West Brom and Palace, and maybe they are games, maybe not Palace so much, but certainly Burnley and West Brom, they've not got victories from, which would bode well if you were a Villa fan thinking, how do they do? Do they beat teams that they would expect to beat and then struggle against teams that are functioning well? Yes. And I would suggest Villa are a team that are functioning well, would fall into that bracket. We're playing at Villa Park here. I am going to go for an Aston Villa home win, which would mean more back-to-back wins for Villa. It would also mean 6 wins in 8 games and a hell of a start to the season. I wonder where that would leave them at the end of the weekend. So I'm going to go for Villa to get the home win. Barkley, Watkins, Grealish to click. I've put Watkins in my fantasy team as well. So a double vested interest apart from my dearly departed hat being firmly on my head. Get your predictions in. If you're a Villa fan, let me know. Am I too enthusiastic? If you're a Brighton fan watching, apologies for the heavy leaning in the coverage. Let me know what you think in the comments. Tell me why I'm wrong if you think Brighton gets something from this game. On Sunday, it's going to be at 4:30, Leeds versus Arsenal. What a great storied fixture that's been going back over the decades. And we will be doing it as a watch along, the 4:30 game. Really excited for this one. Maybe a bit of trepidation from Leeds. We've spoken a lot. Look, 2 4-1 defeats in there. against Palace and against Leicester. Also that defeat against Wolves. And the conversation a lot on the channel and the analysis for Leeds has been Leeds are now stepped up. There were teams that played defensively against Leeds in the Championship, but Leeds were able to still, in the main, beat them and accumulate 94 points. Most teams had to defend against Leeds in the past 2 seasons in the Championship. A few of them took the game to them and beat them. I remember West Brom doing it heavily once and Norwich in the promotion running. But in the main, not many teams under Bielsa took the game to Leeds and won. That is still the case in the Premier League, in terms of Leeds being beaten handily by a team on the front foot, playing, passing, flowing, attacking football and winning. The teams that have done Leeds recently, other than Liverpool at the start of the season, and that was 4-3, let's remember, have been teams that are very good without the ball, very good team shape, and then can spring in to attack. Wolves, less so with the deflected goal in the actual specific example of the game against Leeds, but across Nuno's tenure have been able to do that. Leicester and Palace did it really well. Okay, Palace scored a header from a corner, a worldy free kick and an own goal. And Leeds also had the strange Bamford offside decision, which caused lots of debate, didn't they? So, more the Leicester game. And let's be honest, Leicester are top of the league, so they're a good side. And Vardy obviously is elite in terms of Premier League players. So, that's been the debate. Where do Arsenal fit into that? Arsenal, you would suggest, are gonna, hopefully for Leeds' sake, be more of a passing, flowing side that Leeds will be able to kind of go up against in a football contest, which they'd really, really prefer. I use that term, but you know what I mean, a football context. Obviously, nothing against Leicester at top of the league and Roy Hodgson, and has been a great manager for years, so I'm not denigrating that. I'm just saying this is probably a preferred matchup for Leeds. So Arsenal, looking at the form, there's some difficult games in there, let's just say. They've lost to Liverpool, Manchester City, Leicester and Villa. And that's going to be the one for Leeds where they'll probably compare themselves more favourably with Villa, although Villa are much higher in the table at the moment. But they've come from a similar place, although Villa are in year 2 in the Premier League and performing very, very well. In terms of players, Leeds fans, let me know in the comments how Calvin Phillips is, how far off he might be. No Pablo Hernandez in that last game against Palace. Rodrigo, we assume, would be back and be starting. There's Rafinha is going to start pushing soon. Where? In a wide position or a central position off forward? I don't know yet. We haven't seen. Obviously, a wide position would be harsh on Harrison or Costa, but this is the Premier League. It's ruthless now, and they'll be pleased to have Koch and Cooper back there. So hopefully, from a Leeds persuasion, they will be able to get out their normal sort of 4-1. It may still be, and I don't know the ins and outs of Calvin Phillips' injury, that they still have to find a solution without him. But with Rodrigo, you would think returning, that may well improve the central midfield picture there if there's Click and Rodrigo and Hernandez. Stewick's been helping there as well. So we'll see how this one pans out. I think Leeds can get something from this one. I think it's going to be a really, really good game. Obviously, Arsenal, as we said in the preview for the Villa game, you're just looking at that front three. Villa shut them out. Aubameyang, Lacazette and Willian, a lot of quality there. But I don't see any reason why Leeds, particularly with it being at Elland Road, can't take a point from this one. So again, with my dearly departed hat on, I will predict a draw for Leeds in this one. And I think hopefully, from a Leeds fan's point of view, they will start to see a bit of a better run now going into sort of the Christmas period. Fingers crossed for you Leeds fans, let's just say. Moving on, and it is Fulham versus Everton. Now, about 3 or 4 rounds ago, this would have been a nailed-on Everton win, wouldn't it? Everton were kicking backsides and taking names, weren't they? Calvert-Lewin scoring every game, James Rodriguez doing brilliant things, and Fulham were looking very disorganised, not yet able to, figure out where quite they were going. And a lot seems to have changed to maybe narrow the field on this one, let's just say. So Everton, if we look at them first, over those last 3 games, 3 defeats. And we can't give the excuse we gave Arsenal because it's been Manchester United, Newcastle and Southampton who are 13th, 14th. Yes, Southampton are up at the top, but no traditional big boys in there. Is there a bit of a sense? Did Everton have good fixtures at the start of the season? A small regression to the mean now? You tell me in the comments. Still stacked up with quality with James and Calvert-Lewin. And obviously on the bench, Carlo Ancelotti is elite in management terms. But a little bit of a regression from the early season excitement, which will hopefully excite Fulham fans. Fulham have been way, way more competitive, essentially, since the Wolves game. They lost that one. Then they got the draw at Sheffield United, and Mitrovic missed a penalty in that. They could have got more from that game. Then the defeat against Palace, but the win against West Brom got them out of the relegation zone, got the monkey off the back, the one that Sheffield United and West Brom are still living with and looking for their first win. Disappointing, really disappointed at the end of the West Ham game. A late goal and then that poor Panenka penalty from Lookman, who's been really part of the switch that Parker's made now, where Ruddock is now Areola in goal. The back four, when last season it was Joe Bryan and Adoy and Hector and Ream, none of them in there. Look, Robinson, Adrabio, Anderson and Iain. Robinson be coming up against Everton. So will Lookman indeed. Reed and Anguissa, Kenny, Bobby Reed, Mitrovic and Lookman there. So Parker has found the formula now. Everton may be regressing slightly, but Everton had managed to punish earlier in the season. West Brom 5-2, Brighton 4-2. Palace as well. There isn't an easy side down in London. Drew with Liverpool as well. Much as I've just argued, a regression to the mean from Everton and Fulham are improving, I don't think Fulham are going to get any points in this one. I think Fulham will score more points in the coming weeks, but maybe this isn't a game where that is going to happen. Ancelotti with a bit of a break and a go again, I think suits him maybe a little bit better than it suits Parker, let's just say, because they were seemingly trending upwards from the really sort of chaotic start. I'm going to go for an Everton victory in this one. Let me know in the comments, Fulham fans, what you think, why I could be wrong, and what your hopes are for this game. I'm going for Everton to win it, however. So next for winless West Brom, a visit to Old Trafford and Manchester United. Let's talk about the Reds first of all. Obviously, under the microscope, always huge club, and only one win in the last 3. They have played Chelsea, Arsenal and Everton, so good performance last time out. But look at that, 14th in the table is not anywhere near good enough for Manchester United, is it? They do have a game in hand though, so caveats ahoy. Bruno Fernandes, star player for them last season, played well in the last game. 2 goals and an assist. So as much as there's a lot of posturing and chat about Manchester United, you would think they'll now move into an improved mode of the season and move certainly into that top half and head, you'd think, ultimately towards the top 6. Probably not a good time for West Brom to be catching Manchester United. West Brom, it's not good, is it? I think a lot of people got a bit disillusioned from a West Brom persuasion during that Fulham game where they'd been quite competitive and both sides were looking for the first win, and it was indeed Fulham that got it, not West Brom. And then in this game, I think there were some COVID issues, but all of a sudden, I'm spending the whole time talking about Pereira and Dean Garner. Dean Garner's on the bench. I think Pereira was suffering with COVID. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments there. But again, Bilic switching. Yes, he was playing against Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. However, he still clearly hasn't found what his formula's going to be there. Look, 3 at the back. O'Shea comes back in. It's Kravinovic, Livermore and Gallagher. So look, it's a small tweak, I do confess. We have seen a lot of those players used, but I still feel that he needs one or other of Dean Garner or Pereira to really do anything this season and to work them in. It feels like he's trying to just create solidity there and building in Gallagher, who's got legs, and Livermore, who's probably got the experience in the Premier League. Kravinovic, maybe as a passer, a bit further back, can operate, a little less, dribblingly, as a dribbler, and, a more, luxury player like a Dean Garner or Pereira. Robinson's then got pace up front with Grant, the finisher. It feels like he's removing those fantasy players, those luxury, I can't think of a better word, creative players, whatever you want to use, and trying to make this very, very solid. Maybe that's the way, but you still got to win games, you still got to score goals. This is my worry, and I do not see West Brom getting anything from this game, I have to say. I would love to see them go there and get the draw. I would suspect if Pereira is fit and healthy, he will go back into the first team, and we'll see what Bilic comes up with. I have said for a while though, look, if you're going to just play solid, 3 centre-backs, 2 wing-backs, tight 3 midfield, stick Pereira up front with Grant. Give him a free role. Keep it solid behind him. And what did Jim Magilton say in one of the interviews we did on the Blue Monday channel? Let players play. Let workers work, let runners run, let players play. Do you know what I mean? So let's see. In my wildest dreams, West Brom could get a draw from this one or a victory, but I can't see it. I think we're now going to see Manchester United stepping up, really, and moving up the table a little bit and taking that game in hand. And I think they're going to take 3 points from this one. Let me know in the comments if you're a West Brom fan why West Brom can get something. Convince me, please. I'm not. Sheffield United versus West Ham is our last one. And come on the Blades, for goodness sakes. Where are we now? We are 7 defeats. We're coming into round 9 and 1 draw. Just a terrible, terrible start. The Blades bottom. And I know they're infuriated by it, the second season syndrome, cliches, and you've been found out and all of this stuff. It's so infuriating, I understand. But the results are horrendous, aren't they? How they fix it, I don't know. Normally in this situation, I would say what got you to the dance and what got Sheffield United to the dance was brilliant tactical innovation and management by Chris Wilder, consistency, solidity, and maybe the influence of certain players. I think particularly Jack O'Connell, we're now seeing was important. O'Connell, Fleck, Norwood, through injury and not being selected, etc., haven't had the influence this season that they really, really have in previous seasons. And of course, with Jack O'Connell going out, that's meant Ender Stevens has come out of his wing-back position. And it feels like O'Connell, Fleck and Stevens, feels like the left-hand side of the team has gone. Remember when Blades went up and one of their rivals, Norwich, had Pookie, Aarons and Buendia down the right-hand side. Feels like we've taken all of that out of Sheffield United this season and from seasons past. So we're still going with the 3-5-2. There are expensive forwards now. Look, Ryan Brewster was a superb player for Swansea on loan last season. Maybe it's just a case of now, if you're losing anyway, just bed people in and give them the run and wait for the results to turn. McBurney, Brewster, expensive forwards, although Wilder has stayed loyal to Dave McGoldrick, who did score in the last game, but hammered in the end at Chelsea 4-1. Other than that, I don't really know what to suggest. He doesn't seem to trust Robinson at centre-back, so you're not going to get Stevens again at wing-back. Trouble. I hope it turns. I really, really hope it turns. But while the defeats and the only 1 point stays the same. Look, the tide's not high. It only needs a win, doesn't it? And all of a sudden, up you go. But while the tide's not high, you're going to get, you've been found out, second season, blah, blah, blah. So it needs to be proven on the pitch, doesn't it? We'll see what Wilder comes up with. West Ham, well, they won against Fulham, but again, that 100th minute penalty went down. Look, hard fixtures there. We do get this oddity. I don't know how the fixture computer works, but a lot of teams play Liverpool and Man City in a row, don't they? Interesting. So they have played Liverpool, Man City and Tottenham in a row. Look, I'm going to not leave my bias at the door here. I want Sheffield United to win just to get the monkey off the back or at least draw. I'm not sure how Wilder's going to do it, and Moyes is a tenured and experienced Premier League opponent. I'm going to predict a Sheffield United win out of hope rather than expectation or logic. So get in the comments and let me know why that could happen and how you think Chris Wilder is going to facilitate that. But it's just going to start to get a bit gnarly if it's 10, 11 games and 10 defeats and 1 draw. That's really not looking good. And that starts to then self-fulfilling prophecy. And you often see, you don't see teams go on those type of runs and then just flip. So it's going to be gradual. It might be a couple of draws and then a win and a defeat and then a draw and then a win. But, you know, all of that good work by Chris Wilder. Let's really, really see what he's made of now in this terrible run for Sheffield United. There are our 5 fixtures. One more plug. Leeds versus Arsenal. Watch along live, 4:30 on Sunday. Come and join me for that. Come and join in the chat. We'll see how that one pans out. Again, apologies. I know I've got 3 dearly departed games in a row. We have covered everybody now on a live watch along, so I know accusations of bias are rife in the YouTube comments. There is no bias. I've got to do Championship preview, which does take a load of research through the morning, and then I'll have a break and hang with the missus, and then come and do this in the afternoon. It did go through my mind though. Do I want to do the mad watch along? Put it this way. If we weren't going into 9 game weeks rounds in 5 weeks in the Championship, I'd be up for it. Maybe I could delay the Championship review, but it's just going to be ceaseless now. So anyway, I talk too much. That's my excuse. Get your comments in on any of those fixtures. Team news, injury stuff. It's hard for me to keep across all 30 of the teams that I'm covering in various guises across the channel. So help me out in the comments. And one for you, Sheffield United and Leeds fans particularly, because he's managed your team. I've just popped up one of my comical songs about Mr. Neil Warnock. So if you fancy going on Twitter and giving that a share or a thumbs up and a comment on YouTube, hopefully that will help it reach a nice, wide, broad audience over there. That is our Dearly Departed review for round 9. Please get in the comments. From a Dearly Departed point of view, I'll see you with the watch along for Leeds Arsenal on Sunday at 4:30. Come and join me for that. And then on Monday, we'll get the full review out of these 5 games. How many points? I might put that up as a poll, actually. In fact, I will do in just a jiffy. How many points are we going to get across these 5 games for our Dearly Departed? Thank you for watching. Over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I'll be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.